A team Prodigy took down a corrupt CEO, and uncovered something way bigger. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. The courtroom was cold, not from the air conditioning, but from the way eyes followed Jamal Carter as he walked in. At just 17 years old, Jamal was used to being underestimated. From the cracked sidewalks of his neighborhood to the polished hallways of schools that never believed in him, he had learned the hard way that being young, black, and brilliant was often treated as a contradiction. That morning, Jamal wasn't in court because he'd done something wrong. He was there for a local scholarship hearing, where high-achieving students competed for the city's most prestigious academic award. The prize was more than just money. It was a golden ticket, a chance to attend Ivy League universities, to break cycles of poverty, and to prove that brilliance could grow from even the toughest soil. But presiding over the hearing was Judge Harold Whitman, a man who believed he had seen it all. Whitman was an old guard of the city, stern-faced, his words often laced with the kind of prejudice he disguised as tough love. He had lived decades behind the bench, deciding the fates of others, and in his eyes, Jamal was just another statistic waiting to happen. When Jamal stood at the podium, holding his presentation notes with steady hands, the judge smirked. 17 years old, Whitman muttered loud enough for the room to hear. Another kid from the projects thinking he's the next Einstein. Tell me, young man, why should this court waste its time on pipe dreams? You people rarely follow through. The words cut deep. A murmur of disapproval rippled across the audience, but Jamal didn't flinch. He had heard worse from teachers, principals, even neighbors who thought dreaming was dangerous. His heart pounded, but his voice was calm. Your Honor, Jamal began, I'm not here to waste anyone's time. I'm here because I have something real to show you. Whitman leaned back, unconvinced, a smirk carved into his face. Go ahead then. Amaze us. The room waited, skeptical. Jamal tapped a button on the projector. Instantly, the screen lit up with a complex design, lines of code, intricate diagrams, and data charts. This, Jamal said, is an algorithm I developed. It predicts traffic patterns in low-income neighborhoods. With it, emergency services can reach people faster. It could cut response times by 40%. The audience shifted. Some leaned forward. Jamal pressed on. I built this on my own laptop. No lab. No funding. Just research, coding, and determination. And this is just the beginning. With proper support, I can scale it. I can save lives. Silence hung heavy. Even those who had doubted him felt something stir. But Judge Whitman chuckled. A child building traffic programs? This is cute. But we deal with reality here, not fairy tales. The insult hit like a slap. Jamal's mother, sitting in the back row, gripped her purse tightly, her eyes glistening with pride and pain. She had raised her son alone, working nights, sacrificing everything so he could chase possibilities others laughed at. To hear him dismissed so callously, it was almost too much to bear. But Jamal didn't waver. Your Honor, he said, voice steady but sharper now, this isn't a fairy tale. I submitted this algorithm to the city's Department of Transportation. They tested it last month. It worked. Gasps filled the courtroom. Heads turned. Even the clerk's pen stopped moving. Whitman blinked, his smirk faltering. What did you say? Jamal clicked again. On the screen appeared an official letterhead, stamped with the city's seal. The department had verified his work, praising its accuracy, even noting its potential to revolutionize urban planning. The judge's jaw tightened. For the first time, his condescension cracked. Jamal looked him dead in the eye. So tell me, Your Honor, is that still a fairy tale? The room erupted in whispers, then applause. The scholarship committee, seated near the front, exchanged stunned glances. This wasn't just a smart kid, This was a prodigy. Whitman shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. The irony was biting. The same young man he had mocked had just proven himself in a way most adults never could. The courtroom had turned. The power dynamic had shifted. But Jamal wasn't finished. "People like me," he said, his voice rising with conviction, "were dismissed every day. Teachers write us off. Judges call us lost causes. But brilliance doesn't have a zip code. Genius doesn't wear a suit. Respect shouldn't depend on who your parents are. I'm not here to ask for pity. I'm here to demand recognition. Because the next Einstein might just come from the very projects you mock." The applause thundered louder. Some even rose to their feet. Jamal's mother wept silently, pride washing over her like a flood. Whitman sat frozen, trapped in his own arrogance. His words had been turned into his downfall. The irony was complete. Finally, the head of the scholarship committee stood. "Mr. Carter," she said, "on behalf of this city, it's an honor to award you the scholarship. Your work is extraordinary. We expect great things from you." The room cheered. Jamal exhaled, relief and triumph mingling in his chest. For once, justice had been served, not by the judge, but in spite of him. But just as the celebration swelled, something shifted. From the corner of the room, a man in a dark suit quietly rose. He wasn't part of the committee. He wasn't a parent. He was a stranger, but his eyes were locked on Jamal. He slipped out of the courtroom, pulling out a phone. His voice was low, urgent. "Yes, it's him. The boy. He's better than we thought. We need to act before someone else recruits him." Jamal, still basking in the applause, didn't notice. But his life was about to change in ways even he couldn't predict. Because while he had won this battle, the war for his future had only just begun. The sound of applause still rang in Jamal's ears long after the gavel fell. He had walked into the courtroom carrying nothing but his laptop and a dream, and he walked out carrying the city's most prestigious scholarship. His mother's tears had dried into proud smiles, and people he had never met before rushed up to shake his hand, congratulating him on his brilliance. But not everyone in that room had been clapping. The man in the dark suit lingered outside by the courthouse steps, his phone still pressed to his ear. His face was unreadable, his eyes sharp, like a hawk circling prey. He hung up quickly as Jamal and his mother emerged. "Jamal Carter," the man called, his voice smooth but commanding. Jamal turned, surprised. "Yes?" The stranger stepped forward, extending his hand. "Name's Mr. Reynolds. I work with a private technology firm. We've been following your progress for some time now. That algorithm you presented, impressive. Extremely impressive." Jamal shook his hand cautiously. There was something unsettling about the way Reynolds' smile didn't reach his eyes. "Thank you," Jamal replied politely. "I just want to use it to help people." Reynolds' smirk deepened. "Of course you do. And that's exactly why I want to help you. Boys like you deserve opportunities, real opportunities. Not scraps dressed up as scholarships. My company could give you resources beyond your wildest imagination. Labs, funding, connections. We could make you a millionaire before you turn 20. His mother's brow furrowed. "And what exactly would my son owe in return?" she asked, her voice edged with suspicion. Reynolds chuckled softly, as if her question were quaint. "Only his talents. We'd guide him, polish him, show him how the world really works. Think about it. Do you really want to spend the next 4 years buried in books when you could be changing the world right now?" Jamal hesitated. The promise was tempting: resources, funding, recognition. All the things he had dreamed about. But something about the man's tone gnawed at him. It was too slick, too rehearsed, like a wolf offering to guard the sheep. "I appreciate it," Jamal said carefully, "but I just got this scholarship. I worked hard for it. I plan to use it." Reynolds' smile vanished for the first time. His eyes narrowed, sharp as blades. "Think about what I said, Jamal. Offers like this don't come twice." He slipped a card into Jamal's hand and disappeared into the crowd. That night, Jamal lay awake staring at the ceiling. The card sat on his dresser like it was watching him. A part of him was flattered, powerful people had noticed him. But another part of him felt uneasy. Why had Reynolds known so much about him? Why had he been at the courthouse in the first place? The following week, Jamal's life became a whirlwind. News outlets picked up his story. Teen Prodigy wins scholarship with groundbreaking algorithm. His face appeared on local TV, his name trended online. Teachers who once doubted him suddenly called him a genius. Strangers on the street wanted pictures. But the attention wasn't all good. Some classmates whispered that he didn't deserve it. Others accused him of lying, saying someone else must have written the code. Jealousy and resentment began to swirl around him like a storm cloud. And through it all, Mr. Reynolds lurked. Emails from his firm began arriving, each one more urgent than the last. "We can double your scholarship. We can secure patents for your work. Don't throw away your future on institutions that don't care about you." One night, Jamal came home to find an envelope slipped under his door. Inside was a check. $50,000. No note, no signature, just the check, with his name on it. His mother gasped when she saw it. "Baby, you need to burn that. Money like this don't come clean." Jamal agreed. But temptation whispered in the back of his mind. $50,000 could change everything. College, bills, security. He could finally lift his mother out of endless double shifts. The next morning, Jamal decided to confront Reynolds. He called the number on the card and arranged a meeting at a downtown cafe. When he arrived, Reynolds was already waiting, sipping espresso like he owned the world. "Jamal," he said warmly, "I knew you'd come around." Jamal sat across from him, folding his arms. "Why me? Why are you so interested in what I'm doing?" Reynolds leaned in, lowering his voice. "Because you're not just smart, Jamal. You're dangerous. Dangerous to the people who run this city. Your algorithm doesn't just save lives, it exposes flaws. It reveals where the system fails. And systems don't like being exposed. They prefer control. My company? We thrive on control. We want you on our side before someone else tries to bury you." Jamal's chest tightened. There it was, the catch. They didn't want to help him change the world. They wanted to use him to tighten their grip on it. "I'm not interested in being controlled," Jamal said firmly. "I built this to help people, not to be someone's weapon." Reynolds' smile returned, but this time it was colder. "Careful, Jamal. You're young, but the world is old. You think you can fight it alone? Without protection, without allies? This scholarship of yours won't shield you when people higher than me decide you're a problem." He slid the check back across the table. "Think about your mother. Think about her safety. Sometimes doing the right thing comes at a price. Are you ready to pay it?" The words hit Jamal like a gut punch. He grabbed the check and tore it in half. "I'm not for sale," he said through gritted teeth. Reynolds' eyes hardened. "Then you've just made yourself an enemy." The cafe suddenly felt colder. Jamal stood and walked out, his heart pounding. For the first time, he realized this wasn't just about algorithms or scholarships anymore. It was about power. And now, he was in the middle of a war he hadn't asked for. That night, as Jamal returned home, he noticed something strange. A black SUV parked across the street, engine idling. The same vehicle he had seen outside the cafe earlier. He hurried inside, locking the door behind him. His mother looked up, concern etched on her face. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Jamal lied, forcing a smile. But as he pulled the curtains shut, his stomach twisted. He knew the truth. He wasn't just being watched. He was being hunted. The black SUV had returned. It wasn't paranoia anymore. Jamal could feel it in his bones. Every night it sat across the street, its tinted windows concealing whoever watched from the shadows. Sometimes it idled for hours, sometimes it vanished as soon as he stepped outside, like a phantom keeping just enough distance to stay untouchable. Jamal's mother begged him to ignore it. "Just focus on your scholarship, baby. Don't let them see you rattled." But Jamal knew better. This wasn't a game of nerves. This was a trap tightening around him. Weeks passed, and the pressure only grew. Strange emails filled his inbox, false job offers, contracts with fine print that would strip him of his rights, even fake universities claiming he'd been accepted into programs he'd never applied for. Someone was trying to confuse him, to push him into making one bad choice. Then it got worse. One morning, Jamal woke to find his name splashed across the news. Teen prodigy accused of plagiarism. The article claimed his traffic algorithm wasn't his at all, it was stolen from an obscure grad student's thesis. The story spread like wildfire. Teachers who once praised him now avoided eye contact. Classmates whispered louder than ever. The scholarship board announced an investigation. Jamal was furious. He knew exactly who was behind this. Reynolds had promised, "You've made an enemy." And enemies didn't fight fair. That night, Jamal sat at his laptop, heart racing as he dug into the digital breadcrumbs. Whoever framed him had made a mistake, they underestimated his genius. Within hours, Jamal traced the plagiarism smear back to a private server. And that server? It belonged to Reynolds' firm. He had the proof. But proof wasn't enough. Not when men like Reynolds had power to bury the truth under lies. Jamal realized he couldn't fight this alone. So, he called the one person he least wanted to, Judge Whitman. The old judge answered with suspicion dripping from his voice. "Carter. Why are you calling me?" Jamal swallowed his pride. "Because you don't like me, but you hate corruption more. Reynolds is framing me. I can prove it, but I need someone who knows how to bring this to light legally. You're the only one who can help." There was a long pause on the line. Finally, Whitman sighed. "You've got nerve, kid. I'll give you that. Send me what you've got." The next few days blurred into preparation. Jamal and Whitman, an unlikely pair, quietly assembled a case. The judge pulled strings to delay the scholarship investigation while Jamal pieced together digital trails, emails, and financial transactions tying Reynolds' firm to the smear campaign. But Reynolds wasn't about to go down easy. On the eve of Jamal's scholarship hearing, he received another envelope under his door. This time, no check, just a photograph. It showed his mother walking home from work, unaware of the camera aimed at her. On the back, in block letters, were 4 words, "Stop or she suffers." Jamal's blood ran cold. For a moment, fear almost crushed him. But then he remembered his mother's words, "Don't let them see you rattled." If Reynolds thought intimidation would break him, he was dead wrong. The next morning, the courtroom was packed. News crews, students, scholarship board members, all eager to see if Jamal Carter was a fraud or a prodigy. Reynolds sat in the front row, smug in his tailored suit, flanked by 2 men who looked more like enforcers than colleagues. Jamal walked in with his mother at his side and Judge Whitman following closely behind. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same man who once dismissed him as a dreamer was now his unlikely ally. The board chair cleared her throat. "Mr. Carter, you stand accused of plagiarism. Do you have anything to say before we decide?" Jamal nodded, standing tall. "Yes. I have the truth. He connected his laptop to the projector. The room hushed as lines of code and email threads filled the screen. Jamal explained step by step how Reynolds' firm had fabricated evidence, planted false documents, and manipulated the media. Every claim was backed by undeniable data. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whitman rose, his booming voice carrying authority. "I reviewed the evidence myself. It is irrefutable. This young man is not a fraud, he is the victim of a conspiracy designed to silence him. And I'll be damned if this court sits idly by while corruption tries to destroy potential." Reynolds' smug smile faded. He stood abruptly. "This is nonsense. Baseless accusations from a child and a bitter old judge." But Jamal wasn't done. He clicked one final file, a hidden video feed Reynolds had forgotten to erase. On the screen appeared footage of Reynolds in his office, boasting to an associate, "Frame the kid. Make him look like a thief. No one will believe a teenager over us." The courtroom erupted. Reporters scrambled for cameras, flashing lights filled the room, and the board members stared in horror. Reynolds turned pale. For the first time, the wolf had been caught in his own trap. The board chair slammed her gavel. "This hearing is adjourned. Mr. Carter, your scholarship stands. Mr. Reynolds, expect criminal charges." The audience broke into thunderous applause. Jamal's mother hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. For a moment, it felt like justice had finally been served. But then, amidst the chaos, Jamal noticed something chilling. Reynolds wasn't resisting. He wasn't pleading. He was smiling again, that same cold, dangerous smile. As officers led him away in handcuffs, Reynolds leaned close to Jamal and whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. "You think this is over? Boy, you have no idea what you've started. I'm just the front man. The people I work for, they're already watching you. And unlike me, they don't lose." Jamal's stomach dropped. The victory in the courtroom suddenly felt fragile, fleeting. If Reynolds was telling the truth, then the real enemy hadn't even stepped onto the stage yet. Outside, reporters swarmed Jamal, microphones flashing, questions flying. But all he could hear was Reynolds' voice echoing in his mind. That night, back home, Jamal found another envelope waiting for him on the kitchen table. His mother swore she hadn't seen who left it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one sentence typed in bold. "Welcome to the game, Prodigy." And beneath it, a list of names he didn't recognize, except one. Judge Harold Whitman. The paper shook in Jamal's hands as he stared at the single sentence, "Welcome to the game, Prodigy." Below it, the list of names blurred in his vision, but one stood out like a dagger, Judge Harold Whitman. His unlikely ally. The man who had once mocked him, then helped him bring down Reynolds. His name was there, inked as if he were part of the same machine Jamal thought they had just defeated. Jamal's mother grabbed his arm. "Baby, what is it?" He folded the paper quickly, his chest tightening. "Nothing. Just another scare tactic." But the truth gnawed at him. If Whitman was really connected, then Jamal wasn't fighting one man's corruption, he was fighting a whole network. The next morning, Jamal confronted Whitman in his chambers. "Judge," Jamal said, tossing the paper onto his desk, "explain this." Whitman's eyes scanned the note, and his face went pale. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "I was afraid of this." "You knew?" Jamal demanded. "You knew there were bigger players, and you didn't tell me?" Whitman's voice dropped, heavy with guilt. "Jamal, listen. I was young once, like you, idealistic, brilliant, ready to take on the world. And I made a mistake. I aligned myself with men who promised power in exchange for loyalty. Reynolds is just a pawn. The real organization? They call themselves the Circle. They control contracts, courts, politicians, Everything. And yes, my name is on that list because I was once theirs. But I've been trying to cut ties for years. Jamal's fists clenched. And now they're coming after me because I exposed one of their pawns? Whitman nodded grimly. You embarrassed them, Jamal. And the circle doesn't forgive embarrassment. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. That evening, Jamal sat at his laptop, determination burning through the fear. If the circle was watching, then he needed to watch back. He dove into the digital shadows, combing through financial ledgers, leaked memos, and encrypted files. For days he barely slept, fueled only by adrenaline and his mother's quiet prayers. And then he found it. Buried deep in a server tied to Reynolds' firm was a document titled Project Obsidian. Inside, Jamal uncovered a chilling plan. The circle was manipulating city infrastructure data, traffic lights, emergency routes, even power grids, to funnel resources away from poor neighborhoods and into wealthy ones. His algorithm hadn't just threatened them, it had exposed the very foundation of their control. Jamal's heart pounded. This was bigger than a scholarship, bigger than his reputation. Lives were at stake. He knew what he had to do. With Whitman's reluctant help, Jamal arranged a press conference at City Hall. Reporters swarmed the steps, cameras rolling, as Jamal stood before the microphones. His voice trembled at first, but steadied as he spoke. My name is Jamal Carter. Some of you know me as the teenager who created a traffic algorithm. What you don't know is that algorithm uncovered corruption, corruption bigger than one man. Today, I'm here to expose an organization known as the Circle. He revealed Project Obsidian, projecting documents and data trails for the world to see. He explained how entire communities had been sacrificed for profit and control. The crowd gasped, reporters fired questions, and social media exploded in real time. But Jamal wasn't finished. The Circle believes people like me don't belong in the rooms where decisions are made. They tried to silence me with lies, threats, even money. But I won't be bought. I won't be silenced. Because truth is louder than corruption, and justice doesn't bow to power. The crowd erupted in cheers, but amidst the noise, Jamal spotted something chilling. In the back of the room, a man in a tailored gray suit, flanked by two guards, simply clapped slowly. His eyes locked on Jamal, cold and unblinking. Later, as the press dispersed and the city buzzed with shock, Jamal received a message on his phone. No number, just a text. You've made your move. Now it's our turn. That night, the war came to his doorstep. The SUV wasn't across the street anymore, it was in his driveway. Men in suits stepped out, not bothering to hide their faces. Jamal grabbed his mother's hand. Go to the back. Now. But before they could move, a knock rattled the door. Not a frantic knock, a calm, deliberate one. Jamal opened it to find the man from City Hall standing there. Mr. Carter, the man said smoothly, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Mr. Kincaid. Unlike Reynolds, I'm not a pawn. I'm the Circle. Jamal's mother pulled him back, but Kincaid raised his hands. Relax. If we wanted you gone, you'd already be gone. We're here with an offer. I don't want anything from you, Jamal snapped. Kincaid smirked. You will. You've proven yourself extraordinary. We don't destroy prodigies like you, we recruit them. Join us, and you'll have resources beyond anything you can imagine. Refuse, and let's just say accidents happen every day in this city. Even to mothers who work late-night shifts. Jamal's blood boiled. The offer was the same poison Reynolds had dangled, only sharper now, wrapped in threats instead of charm. I'd rather die standing for the truth than live crawling for you, Jamal spat. Kincaid's smile didn't falter. He slipped a sleek black card into Jamal's pocket. You'll change your mind. They always do. Then he turned and walked away, his guards following like shadows. The SUV rolled off, but the warning lingered in the air like smoke after a fire. Jamal's mother clutched his face in her hands. "Baby, you're in danger. You can't fight them alone." Jamal looked into her tearful eyes, his jaw set with unshakable resolve. "I won't fight them alone. I'll fight them with the truth. And I'll make the world see what they really are." He turned back to his laptop, opening a new file. His fingers flew across the keys, faster than ever before. This wasn't just an algorithm anymore. It was a weapon, one built not of violence, but of information. But as he worked, a chilling thought crept into his mind. What if Kincaid was right? What if the circle was too big, too powerful? Could one teenager really topple giants who had ruled from the shadows for decades? And then, in the glow of his screen, a new message appeared. Not from the circle this time, but from an unknown source. "We've been watching too. You're not alone. Let's bring them down together." Jamal's eyes widened. Who were they? Allies? Or another trap? He sat back in his chair, heart racing, the weight of his decision pressing down harder than ever. Because the grand finale wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a much bigger war.